Hello, everybody. I want to start this off first and foremost by thank you for checking out my content. And I will say this is a video I wanted to make for a long time. It's been like a year since I first started writing this script, and I kept trying to go back to it, but I felt like I didn't have enough content, so I kept pushing it off, and now we're here. Making content like this is a passion of mine, and I love getting the chance to share these wonderful stories with you and talking about things that just usher out the utter creativity in myself for inspiration. And today we're going to tackle a topic that I've not seen a lot of widespread talk about in a series that is pretty well loved nowadays. NieR Reincarnation is the third title in the NieR series, and the sixth game in the entire Drake and NieR chronology. Not too sure what the last one means? Well, I have some good watches for you then. In the description, I've linked a series of videos by YouTube user Clemps, who has done a fantastic summary of the plots of the Drakengard trilogy, as well as NieR and NieR Automata. These videos are comprehensive and highly recommend if you're going to be unable to play these games yourself, especially some of the older ones because they're not the greatest games, but I do think they are all unique experiences that are worth looking at. I would also recommend checking them out because as we get into the later points of maybe not this video, but the next video, definitely, and onward, we are going to be talking about various points on the NieR Drakengard timeline as we theorize on events. I do want to thank the folks over in the NieR Reincarnation Discord server, as well as the admins of the NieR Wiki for cataloging and organizing near everything on this game that has come out thus far, including the limited time events and their stories. So with that out of the way, I feel like I should elucidate some on how this video is going to work, because this is quite a bit different to how my other explained videos have gone. This is a mobile game, if that hasn't been made clear. Unlike other series that have mobile games in it, this is not a spin-off, and Yoko Taro, the director of NieR and the entire series, considers this a canon entry that takes place within the world of NieR Replicant and NieR Automata. Where exactly does it take place? Well, that's a bit harder to place. It's not as simple of an answer, but I'll do my best over these next few videos to try to place at least some ideas as soon as some evidence comes available. As of right now, this game has 2 seasons that is underway. One season of 12 chapters, and I believe there are 4 chapters in the current second season that is running. This video is going to be tackling the first half of Season 1. Now, with that said, considering this is a mobile game with gacha elements, I do have to say this up front. Real money can be used to purchase in-game currency called gems, which are used to summon various weapons and event-exclusive characters. Like any gacha, there is a risk that those with tendencies averse to gambling may find similar urges play out here. I will say, for the record, I am a free-to-play player, meaning I have not spent any money on this game, and I don't plan to. I've thus far managed to have played through all of the currently available story content. Just make sure to play responsibly and within your means. No game is worth putting yourself in financial trouble over. Now, with that out of the way, NieR Reincarnation is a mobile title available for free on iOS and Android, developed by Applebot Games and helmed by mad band extraordinaire Yoko Taro. It's important to note that the ideas of the story were developed by a team of 4 writers helmed by Takashi Ohara, which was then sewn together into a coherent plot by Taro himself. Now, before we begin with the explanation, we need to discuss some of the kinds of stories that exist in this game. First, there's the main story, which features a character named the Girl of Light, who wakes up in a mysterious environment full of towered structures simply known as the Cage. It is hauntingly empty inside this world, and she is greeted by a strange ghost-like being named Mama, who offers to be her guide and help the girl reclaim the pieces of herself she lost, and redeem herself from a past sin. Officially, she does have a name, but for now she is just called the Girl of Light. Funnily enough, if you manage to pull this character from any event banners, you learn her name very early. For the purposes of this retelling, I will not be revealing her name until we are supposed to learn it. Next, we have the stories of the memories, which consist of a variety of different characters, and it is the Girl of Light's mission to explore each of these memories, which makes up the 12 chapters of the first season, to explore more of the world and the characters that inhabit it. Then we have event stories. These are limited time events that tell their own unique tales, but they also contain the crossover stories, as NieR Reincarnation has had a few crossovers, including with the other NieR titles. And then there are the EX character stories, which are bonus stories for each character you can unlock when you've upgraded special dark weapons fit for each character to max capacity. Now, that is a lot of avenues for story and lore. So to keep things organized, we're going to go into this order here, tackling the main story with the Girl of Light, and then we'll move through each chapter, going through each memory from chapters 1 to chapter 12. This video is going to stop after the completion of chapter 6. And after this, we will round up any event stories that focus on the NieR Reincarnation cast, and then we'll tackle the crossover stories for Drakengard 3, NieR Automata, and NieR Replicant, and then we'll finish it off with a straight reading of the EX character stories for these characters thus far. As the length of these scenes are going to be a little long, it's looking like we'll be needing 2 parts for Season 1, so we'll cover that as we cover that. Now, let's begin. Girl of Light begins walking through the emptiness of the cage.
You've lost so much, but the time has come to reclaim it. Life will be much harder if you can't speak after all. These stairs are the entrance to your prison, a place known as the Cage. It's a truly massive structure. Where you woke up, and this sandy area here, are just small parts of it.
This place is called... the Cage?
And now, the moment you've been waiting for, dream time!
How annoying.
We all live under someone else's command. Our bodies and emotions are not free.
One often lacks the will to choose from the remaining options.
These feelings, they're all real. But my reality wasn't. I just wanted happiness. Normal happiness.
Perhaps freedom, in the truest meaning of the word, never existed to begin with.
We don't have time to deal with gods right now.
I am a different man now.
It's something I want to do.
I won't stop until I've destroyed them all. Sear this into your mind.
I can destroy the flowers with
What
this.
is your anger meant for?
I'll kill them all.
Let's go. We have a final fragment to reclaim.
Until she comes across a figure stuck into the ground that is pitch black. Mama decides to call this figure a black scarecrow. These scarecrows contain what are known as weapon memories inside. This concept is one that dates all the way back to Drakengard, so if fans of Yoko Taro's storytelling will be familiar with weapon stories. But weapons you would obtain throughout the games would have stories with them unique to these weapons, whether they be of past or present owners. Here, the weapon memories come in 4 shards per floor of the cage, each holding a specific memory within. It is the Girl of Light's job to view the weapon memories within and prevent a force of black crows from changing those stories. So we're going to be hopping into a bunch of different vignettes with characters whose stories all vary vastly from the Girl of Light herself, and her time exploring through the cage. By virtue of these being memories, it's safe to assume that we see covers of an event that have happened before the time of the cage. The first memory introduces us to a young boy, who is initially revealed as the Exile, or the Wanderer.
vast wasteland. A taciturn man follows. The boy proceeds uneasily, his eyes constantly probing their surroundings, almost as if he fears they are being followed. Suddenly, a dreary town emerges from the dust. The boy suggests they take their rest, and the man nods silently. The two make for a nearby eatery, hoping to shake the road from their weary bones. But instead of welcome, they find a group of bounty hunters gathered at their destination. The lead hunter stares at the child, appraising him. "You royalty, boy?" His voice is wrath. The boy remains silent, his head hanging low. Perhaps angered by the lack of response, the bounty hunter suddenly draws his gun. 2 shots ring out and fade into the dusk.
Did you see the flock of black birds that possessed the bounty hunter? They're nasty sorts who like to fly in and warp the story. Well, we are not going to let that stand, are we? Your role is to defeat them and put the story back the way it's supposed to be. But I suppose you already know that, don't you?
Perhaps angered by the lack of response, the bounty hunter suddenly draws his gun. Having defeated the hunters, the man turns to his charge. "Are you hurt, my prince?" "I am well," replies the boy. "But remember, I am no longer a prince." With a wry smile and a touch of regret, he proposes they take their leave of the town. The man silently nods and gazes upon the boy's face. Wherever people gather, stories come with them. But saloons have a special ability to loosen even the tightest of lips. Such rumors are what brings the woman with the mechanical arm and leg to this place. For she is a bounty hunter in search of her prey. The information she obtains from the patron seems vague, but it is more than enough. Gathering herself, she exits the saloon in pursuit of her target. A lone bounty hunter blocks the woman's path. His breath is ragged and foul, his eyes a pair of tiny beads. "Give me all your money," he howls. It is over in a moment. The woman's sigh is carried off by the wind. No mediocre highwayman could hope to stand against her desire for revenge. The woman heads for the forest in pursuit of her target. In a forest near a ruined church, a man surveys his surroundings. It would appear he is searching for food. The expression on his bandaged face is clouded. The grasses rustle ominously as they part. It seems the man is not the only one in search of food. The animals in this place are lean, starving, desperate, and they will do what they must to survive. Having secured his prize, the man returns to the church. The sound of his worn boot heels echoes throughout the dilapidated chapel. A boy lies at the back, his face drawn and haggard. The man kneels down and offers some of the food he collected. But the boy is too weak to hold it. His body will not allow him to accept even this meager meal. The boy tries to brush it off with a feeble smile, but the man just stares down at him in silence. The woman who set out from town finally arrives at a wild wood. Soon, she comes across the ruins of a once proud church. The ceiling has collapsed, the walls mere suggestions. But in the very back of the church, she finds a deteriorated clockwork soldier, as well as the corpse of a boy. As the woman approaches, the clockwork soldier suddenly rises. He levels his weapon at her and lets fly with a fearsome howl. The woman accesses the logs of the fallen soldier. Boy was a prince, driven from his kingdom. The clockwork soldier traveling with him was his guardian and his friend. But alas, the boy's disease worsened and he perished. Now alone, the man remained behind and continued to safeguard his charge, killing any who dared approach the body. For 100 years, the man stood watch. Their kingdom fallen, his body rust, his mind shadow. Yet still he remained to protect his friend. The woman builds a grave to mourn the pair and leaves the forest without a word.
So thus ends the story of Rion, the exiled prince. With this chapter, we've also obtained Rion in our party, And we're gonna move on to the next chapter, which now interestingly focuses on the bounty hunter we saw hints toward in the previous chapter, Gale, the prosthetic hunter.
Once, two sisters with lovely ebon hair lived in a lush and verdant land. They hunted for food in the forest and did their best to each support the other. The elder sister had been born in the woods and was an archer of rare skill. When their parents died, she began teaching the younger how to hunt. The younger looks up to her and wants so badly to test out her new skills. This thought fills the older sister with warmth as she follows after her sibling. Suddenly, the elder sibling hears a beast cry out from the direction of her little sister. She sets off after her at a frantic pace. The savage beast looms over the prone girl and makes to attack. As an arrow penetrates the beast's tender flesh, it turns tail and flees. There was no way her little sister could have taken down the massive creature alone. Trying to calm her, the woman removes her silver hairpin and places it on her sister. It is a keepsake of their mother, one the young girl has long desired. "Thanks, sis," she says, beaming. "Next time, it'll be my turn to protect you." Done with their hunting, the black-haired sisters decide to return home before dusk. The younger has caught a small bunny, and the elder a large boar. It is a typical day of hunting for the pair. They only notice the disaster when they come to the hill that overlooks the town. Flames billow forth, and the chilling snaps of distant gunfire can be heard. The woman immediately thinks of the war that is raging in the neighboring nation. She tells her sister to stay put and goes to see what has happened for herself. The town is oddly still, save for the incessant crackle of flames. The woman gasps as she takes in the grisly sight before her. All she can see are bodies. 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 After defeating the soldier, she hears a voice. Her worried sister has followed her into the fires of the village. Enemy soldiers cry out all around them. As the woman feared, the war from the nearby nation has finally found them. Strange and fearsome men surround them on all sides. Impact, heat, pain. Her little sister screams. As the woman's consciousness flickers out, 2 words from a soldier reach her ears. Sort them. The black-haired woman regains consciousness in a world enveloped by haze. She hears a faint voice. It sounds similar to her little sister's voice, but also different, wrong. My sister. I have to save my sister. The woman's dim memories slowly become clear. The blow she'd taken, her sister screaming, the soldier's words. Her only sister, her only family. She must save her. As she runs, the woman's world is enveloped in a shimmering wall of white. When the woman wakes anew, she is lying on the floor of an unfamiliar prison. Something is terribly wrong. She looks down at her body and stifles a gasp. 1 arm and 1 leg have been replaced by mechanical substitutes. And her black hair is now as white as snow. Where is my sister? She dashes off through the dim prison in search of her missing sibling. She dispatches both her cell door and its guard with equal ease. Only then does she realize the truth. Her body is now a terrible weapon. As this knowledge sinks in, darkness envelops her. When she interrogates the dying guard about her sister, he grins madly and says, "Our kingdom will invade all. Every country will bend the knee to our might. Then we'll experiment on the survivors and turn them into beautiful killing machines. Oh yes, they will be sorted." With these final words, the soldier dies. The woman begins to run. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. She repeats the mantra as she runs, praying that somehow her sister has escaped this fate. What? That was... As the woman exits her prison, she beholds a town stained red with both flame and blood. She is in a strange land, one she does not recognize. But she must find her sister. The woman runs and runs and runs. That's a child. Upon hearing the wail, she dashes toward the sound. The thing standing before her was once her sister. But now, all trace of her former self has been lost to the sorting. Her transformed little sister trembles, as if trying to remember something. The moment her sister is cut down in front of her, the woman loses all control. Even when her enemies are no more than mangled hunks of flesh, she cannot stop. Finally, the woman cradles her sister in her arms and gazes at her blood-stained face. Their hair, once dark as night itself, was now pure white. Yet the hairpin still glinted from atop the sister's head. The woman was alone. Her fate was sealed. And so she swore a vow to her sister. The fires of her revenge would rage until they consumed the entire kingdom.
Now, with 2 chapters under our belt, it is interesting to note that as we travel through the cage, the Girl of Light sees a dark monster from time to time. Seeing as this monster is on the game's cover, it's easy to assume that it's going to be important, but for now we'll just say that it's rather more playful than its appearance makes it seem. Onward to Chapter 3, we are properly introduced to Deimos, the Clockwork Soldier. We're going to be going back in time a bit to when Deimos first met Rion. And so, we begin the first memory.
A mechanical soldier sleeps amidst the detritus of a castle storehouse. Time has no meaning here. A minute is as an age. Until the day he meets the boy. The exhausted boy can only mutter 3 simple words. Let me rest. Seeking to help, the man begins rooting around to prepare a makeshift bed. As he continues to dig, a discarded weapon suddenly activates. The man manages to assemble a crude resting place from the storehouse junk. The boy wearily makes his way to the bed and manages a heartfelt thanks. After studying the man for a moment, he begins to ask him questions. The name the man gives is that of the first model of Clockwork soldiers. "I was also a first once," says the boy. "First in line to the throne, but no more." The man explains he was unable to carry out orders and discarded as defective. The boy responds that as his disease has grown worse, he too has been cast aside. "You and I are much alike," says the boy with a sad smile. Weary of talking, the boy finally falls asleep. The man simply sits, keeping the boy's peaceful expression in the corner of his eye. The cold room burdens the boy, and his condition worsens. The man looks about and sees what appears to be a bottle of medicine. But upon taking it in hand and looking at the label, he realizes it is actually a weapon of poison gas. The man continues to search for medicine that might aid the boy. It seems the storehouse expands beyond the junk pile pressed against the wall. He retrieves a bottle from the shelf and returns to the bed where the boy waits. The boy looks at the man's gift and chuckles. "Empty bottles won't cure me, I'm afraid," he says as the man stares at him blankly. "Still," says the boy. He suddenly stands, as if a thought has come to mind. The boy places a candle in the bottle, turning it into a small lamp. He then begins to sing in a small, quiet voice. By the power of his will does the hero draw his sword. To stop the mean advances of the darkness in the world. He will use this light to lead away the people from fear's horde. It is the song of a hero who challenges evil in order to save his people. The lamp flickers warmly as the man thinks. "Thank you," he says finally. Those words should not have existed in the man, and yet somehow they did. The boy's shocked stare slowly becomes a smile, bright enough to last a lifetime. In the corner of a frigid room, these two companions are comforted by the same warmth.
monster that attacked us earlier. Are you going to chase it? It's almost like it's calling to us.
Soldiers' voices drift in from outside. The kingdom has once again declared war. The boy looks at the man and opens his heart. He once lacked the courage to stand against his father and had stayed complicit. But now he burns to stop the king and protect his people from the horrors of war. The passion in his eyes is evident. The man breaks through the door, and the boy follows after. As a divine light shines behind him, the king glares down at the two interlopers. In a bold voice, the boy shouts up at the king. "By my name as the firstborn, I propose this war be ended." In that moment, he is just like the hero of his song. With a sneer, the king looks to the clockwork soldier and says, The man freezes, but he cannot disobey his master, for that is how he was programmed. With a shaking hand, he readies his gun. The boy stares straight at the man from the end of the barrel. Unable to resist his orders, the man's finger hovers over the trigger. In a final, desperate move, the man shuts down his own motor circuits. His finger lets go of the trigger, and he falls to his knees before the boy. It is the first time he has resisted orders of his own volition, all to save the boy. With an animalistic cry, the king rises up before the pair. The king's roar brings soldiers running as he demands they tear the traitors apart. The man seizes the boy's hand, and they begin to run from the castle. For the first time in his existence, the man finally has a will of his own.
Why is there a person in a place like this?
Excuse me, miss. I've been waiting here for a really long time, but my mommy still hasn't come. Oh, I miss my mommy so much, and I was hoping you could put me in that scarecrow like you did with Mr. Monster.
I'm sorry. Mama can't help you. Let's be off.
The escapees arrive at the town outside the castle and find people in a panic over the impending war. Somehow, the two managed to escape beyond the borders of the kingdom. Looking back on their former home, they each make an oath. The boy swears to travel the nation as its prince and bring an end to the war, while the man promises to guard the prince until his dying moment. Together, they will sever the marionette strings the kingdom has bound them to. With determination in their hearts, they take their first steps into the future.
So that's now irrefutably sad for how this pair ends up. If we remember, they are not met with happy ends, pulling back to Chapter 1. Now, from here on out, we're not going to be seeing as many direct connections to the story of these three characters. It's very clear that these three stories intersect, but now we're going to be shifting focus over toward our new memory character, Akeha, the assassin.
A man sits alone. Though he speaks, the target of his words is unseen. To this invisible listener, he offers praise for a task well handled. His eyes narrow. He hesitates. Then, his voice a rasp, he murmurs an instruction. On to the next. The target of his words is revealed behind the scrim of a dividing wall. She also sits alone. In her hand rests a small scroll adorned with a face. Slipping the scroll into the folds of her robe, she stands and makes her response. Understood. Thick clouds hang low against an ominous sky. The castle town bustles as people move to and fro. A family traveling the road catches her eye. The child smiles brightly, her eyes sparkling. The darkness of the woman's own life could never know such pleasant light. Brushing aside her melancholy, she makes to leave town. sudden glimpse of silver catches the woman's eye as an assassin appears before her. A thin razor of a smile crosses her face. She knows this is exactly where she belongs. She claims the assassin's life before body can meet Earth. In the silence that follows, she muses on her life. She walks a path of blood, a solitary path, far from family or comfort. Had she ever smiled as that child did? Could she? Such thoughts swirl in her mind as the woman considers a life she knows she will never have. The girl stirs from a thin sleep, her features weary as a woman thrice her years. Her life is an unending blur of training that continues without mercy or pause. Bones creak, flesh stings, pain is her constant companion. Yet she forces herself down the hall all the same. When she arrives at the garden, a bellowing roar orders her forward. "Coming," she replies in a voice devoid of all feeling. She readies an apology for her tardiness, knowing full well it will not be heard. As suspected, the man cuts off her words and begins to berate her without pause. "You will learn to honor punctuality, girl. You are a tool of our master, and a tool is of no use if it is not present when needed." Thus begins another day of the girl's deadly training. Her family has served their lord's clan for generations. When the lord decides an enemy needs to die, her family carries out the sentence. Her path had been laid before she was even born. The path of a trained killer. There is no freedom for her, no thought of a different way. The path simply was. The woman does not bemoan her fate, for she has never known another. Yet, when she thinks of the things she will never have, she feels a terrible sadness. But she presses on regardless, leaving such distractions behind. At some point, she realizes that rain has begun to fall. Through the droplets, she spies a castle with a dark and enigmatic aura. Soon she finds a lone guard standing before a gate. Moving without sound, she looses her sword. With death delivered, she sheathes her blade and presses on. Do you hear that? That's... It escaped again. What's that sound? Oh! The stairs make music when you step on them. Do you think that monster was playing the steps? That's a rather cute thing to do, don't you think?
The woman moves ever deeper into the castle in search of her target. Her mission is to kill the son of an enemy lord and halt his possible succession. The enemy army values blood. If the successor were to die, chaos will inevitably follow. Slaying the son will create confusion, giving her own lord an opening for attack. She passes through the corridors and moves toward a reception room. Outside, the rain falls in endless gray sheets. A child sits alone, his frame made smaller by the size of the room. She recognizes the boy's face from her scroll. Without a word, she draws her sword and points the tip at the child's throat. Yet he simply stares at the cold steel, making no move to escape. As the woman studies the child's haggard face, she realizes something. This is no son of a lord, but instead a girl frocked in boy's clothing. The woman asks her target why this is. As if a dam has burst, the girl suddenly lets fly with a torrent of grievance. I wish this house and this entire nation would fall. The girl begins to tell her tale. I am not but a puppet who dances at my father's tune. I'm no child to him, merely a tool to be used. I even denied my own heart and took false gender in order to fulfill my role. And as this house's tool, I live only to be killed. So please, just bring this to pass. End me. The girl's eyes turn to rest on the woman. This is who I used to be. Set to walk a path before I had even drawn breath. The woman's sword wavers. Her hand hesitates. Outside, the rain falls as if it was trying to blot out the very earth itself. And yet somehow, it feels quiet. The only sound is the rain. A long moment passes. The woman sheathes her blade. She then asks the bewildered girl, "Did you mean it when you said you wish your house would fall?" Shaking, the girl nods. The woman responds, "Understood." Suddenly, the sounds of an army clattering into place emerge behind them. a score of soldiers bursts into the reception room. The woman's face is the very picture of composure. "Come then," she whispers. The girl runs over and takes her hand. Why had she done this? The sound of the rain begins to fade. People cannot choose the station of their birth. One can scarcely even choose their own manner of death in this violent, fleeting world. But perhaps one can choose to let another live. I was a tool of my house who carried out her role. My hands are stained with sins beyond counting. I doubt this will absolve me of my actions, but it might make a nice gift to bring with me into hell. She can no longer hear the rain. Tears roll down the girl's cheeks, and on the woman's face is something almost like a smile.
Chapter 5 introduces us to Argo, who, funnily enough, has the longest title for a memory character thus far. The one who continues to challenge the mountains.
A man makes his way along a mountain path, buried in snow. There is no movement, no sound, only a perfect wall of unbroken white. His breath comes out in a set of steady white puffs. Before long, the sun begins to set. Yet the man's pace does not falter. A rift in the ground blocks his way. The crevice is so deep, he cannot see the bottom. The man produces his trusty hand axe from within a deep pocket. The path beneath him precarious. Maintaining his balance is a matter of life and death. Once he moves past the danger, he again makes for the peak. Before he realizes it, the land around him is bathed in moonlight. The man knows the mountain is more dangerous at night. Yet it still holds for him a kind of wondrous charm. He does not fear this place. Instead, he trusts in his strength and experience. Suddenly, the steely glint of animal eyes glimmer all around him. The man, remaining calm, confronts a pack of wolves. Don't run. Don't turn away. Don't look them in the eye. The final war sounds. After fending off the wolves, the man renews his trek. No person has ever reached the summit of the mountain he now climbs. Yet he does not fear, for he has conquered many peaks long thought impossible. He forever seeks the line between life and death within the harshest environments. This pursuit is his entire reason for living. A terrible blizzard rages across the snowy mountain. The merciless wind and snow cause his steps to slow. Suddenly, his weary eyes glimpse a rocky shelter, just big enough for a single man. As he catches his breath, he recalls the letter tucked away inside his pocket. His daughter had given it to him before he started his climb. He fishes in his deep pocket once more and produces a handmade charm. The oddly shaped decoration seems to warm the man from somewhere deep inside. Having risen to his feet, the man's legs are filled with renewed strength. Halfway up the mountain, he comes across a frozen lake. The corpse on the ground wears the attire of a mountaineer. And its regrets suddenly take form as a ghost and spread a terrible darkness. He sees a note on the ground next to the body. It is an apology to the mountaineer's family. It spells out his regret at ever attempting his climb. The note is written in a cramped, unsteady hand. Perhaps it is due to cold, perhaps to grief.
I wonder if it's trying to tell us something.
A tremendous cliff looms before the man. If he can conquer this, the mountain will be his. Balling up his numb fists, he whispers encouraging words to himself. his frozen body threatens to rebel, he finally reaches the summit. And though the mountain has supposedly never been climbed, he finds a ruined shrine. Intrigued by this mysterious sight, the man ventures onward. When he enters the shrine, he finds something impossible. His wife. He rubs his eyes and looks at the woman again. What he thought was his wife is in fact the frozen corpse of another pregnant woman. The corpse grips a clunky good luck charm in one frozen hand. It looks just like the one his own daughter gave him. Enough. Time to go. The hallucination solidifies his resolution to return home to his family. A lonely house, illuminated by a dim light, sits in a forest of deep snow. Suddenly, a furious knocking batters at the door. The door flies open to reveal an aberration that looks strangely like the girl's father. It seems the knock was but a trick of the wind. The woman presses against her swollen stomach and collapses to the ground. New life is about to be brought into the world. The man is in darkness. Pain courses through a body that struggles to follow the orders of its mind. With each movement he makes, his arms and legs grow heavier. As the cold sets into his bones, he comes to a sudden realization. Ah, I see. I am already gone. He fumbles frozen, unfeeling fingers into his pocket one last time. The charm from his daughter still retains a tiny coal of warmth. With the sensation of his family at his fingertips, he slowly closes his eyes.
Chapter 6 is the apex of the Girl of Light's journey. It is the final step in uncovering her deep-rooted sin. After using the gigantic stone elevator, we approach the first dark scarecrow, and Mama confirms that the girl's memories are the source of the next story. Welcome. It took you a little while to get here, didn't it? This is the last memory, the last tale. This memory differs from all the rest. The world within is terribly unstable. Stay close to Mama so you don't get lost, alright? Monsters like you live in this world. That should be obvious, though. It's quite unlike the human world, don't you think? Oh, look at that over there. Those are monsters, creatures of the same type as you. They certainly seem to be having fun. I wonder what they're talking about. Look out! That one is... The dark foes will attack you in here as well. Do be careful. As you dream eaters devour said dreams, you begin to change. Eventually, you will take on a human form. Eventually, you will take on a human form.
I know it's painful, but let's keep going. These memories are deeply entangled with you. Restoring them will not be easy. Do you know what that monster is? It is a creature who steals and eats human dreams for want of their form. But perhaps you know more about that than I do.
Be ready. The pain you feel right now, it will only grow deeper as we explore this memory. We are moving ever closer to the deeper parts of this memory. And as we do, you grow nearer to your original self. Be careful that you don't get swallowed up. Original selves have a way of doing that. Oh dear, do stay alert now. I recognize this method of killing. It means they have intruded nearby. This one is going to destroy your memory. Your wish won't come true if you don't restore this, you know. There are two contradictory beings within your memory. One is a monster that wishes to become human. The other is a monster that rejects this thought. You, I'm afraid, were stuck in the middle. What do you truly wish to do?
Like I said before, the more we restore, the deeper your pain will grow. When we finish restoring all of these memories, I will ask you one more time. So prepare yourself for that moment, all right?
Let us proceed. Our only path is straight ahead, after all. It is difficult for any creature to fight their instincts. The wish to become human, the urge to eat dreams, those are the greatest desires for monsters such as you. They are your very reasons for living. Denying them would be the same as denying yourself. Don't let them confuse you. They will intrude on your hesitation. Once they read your thoughts, they say them out loud. Then they creep into your memory while you're shaken and attempt to destroy it. Be careful, okay? Remember back then? You met a human. You devoured all her dreams whole. Then you took her body and became human. The restoration is almost complete. Brace yourself.
Can you still walk? All right. Regardless of what you choose, the next memory will be the last. Let's get a move on. Restoring the tale of what you have done is penance for your sins. But soon, that too will come to an end. Will you realize your wish? Or... This is the last, truly and well, the last memory. The moment you complete this restoration, you will regain all you have lost. And there, you will find your sins waiting.
The mirror reflects yourself. Come now, let's keep going. You need to face your sins. That girl is the one from whom you stole dreams. You devoured her dreams. You stole her body. You became human. And that is the form you take now, the sinful girl in black. Yes, something came from all this. You fulfilled your desires as a monster. But the poor girl with all her dreams taken away. Well, you simply couldn't live with that. Because you... Because you and the girl, you were going to be friends. And yet, her dreams were taken from her, so she took on the form of the monster in your place, and still wanders the cage even now. The time has come. You have righted all the memories you were meant to fix. Now you will take back your final fragment. And with that, you will answer my question again. The time has come to fulfill your wish.
That is the final piece. Speech. Now you have regained all that you lost. Now you must choose. Will you become human? Or... Tell me, child, what is it you truly wish for?
Because you want more.